What's going on, guys? I'm Mac, and welcome back to another 10-minute video. And in today's video, I'm actually doing something a little different. I normally take a couple takes and we'll go over footage and audio. This time around, this video will be completely raw, as I wanted to try something out here. I feel like there's been a lot of negativity in the Overwatch space, and even I have contributed to it. A couple videos of mine, like Top 500 sucks, and this season's a filler season, have been relatively negative in their space, and I want to give some positivity back to the Overwatch community and Overwatch devs, telling them at least they're doing something right, instead of just complaining the entire time. So that is the plan for today. If you haven't already, please make sure to like, subscribe, all those sort of stuff as we jump right into this video. And why it's different is that I normally will write some stuff down, at least some notes. I'll go over and do some research before these videos. This time around, I want to try to be as honest and as truthful as possible. And if I'm sitting here for about 4 minutes trying to figure out if there's something positive about this game, I don't think it's a me issue anymore. I think it might be the game. I ain't gonna lie. So here we go. Positive things about Overwatch. Well, actually, we'll talk about what's on your screen right now. And actually, my computer, my main PC right now, is currently broken. I have no idea what's wrong with it. I should be getting it back soon. I do have plans to release actual gameplay of me playing the game. I have tons of footage of it, and it's edited and ready to upload, but it's on a different entire platform. So I'm currently using my PC that I got in, like, oh my gosh, it's like maybe at least 15 years old or more. So it has a little bit of a hard time running Overwatch. It's a modern game, and it runs Overwatch at a solid 60 without recording, and so it does dip a good amount in the footage. So if you see like the footage start like jacking up, that's why. But the positive that I'm bringing into this is that low key, the low settings on Overwatch is pretty darn good. Not to bring it back to Marvel Rivals, but if you're playing on low settings as Marvel Rivals, it literally looks like you're playing an 8-bit game on the Atari 2600. Jeez Louise, the low settings on Marvel Rivals is horrible. At least on Overwatch, it looks pretty good. I'll actually, later in the video, you might see some of the models for like Winston or whatever, and it actually looks pretty decent, I'm not gonna lie. So that's a positive. If you're a person with a bad setup and don't have a good PC, or if you play on, I'm not even say the Switch also does like look far worse than the low settings on PC, but it does look pretty decent. It's way better than Rivals, at least, and I'll take that as a positive. What else? Oh, listening to the community. Okay, so listen here. Listen to me right now, and in my opinion, I'm not gonna lie, Overwatch has some of the best community outreach in comparison to a lot of other companies and brands. You think back to, I don't know, back in before Overwatch 2, where they basically gave no major patch updates and left a horrible meta for a year. And now we're in this state where they go through and make a completely separate dev update that states everything they've done wrong. There's no positives in it, relatively speaking, and it's all talking about things they want to do better, how they're going to improve, and saying that, hey, we're not giving you a full answer right now, that's because we're working on more stuff, and that we are improving it, but here's already something else that we're improving. The most recent, dev blog or whatever talks about the cookies for the Christmas mode, Top 500 system, and also their statement on 6v6, where they admitted to being wrong and saying that, hey, look, we shouldn't have said that we're not going to update 6v6. Of course we are. That was a blunder from us, and we recognize that 6v6 is a big game mode, blah, 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 etc., etc. So at least they're pretty receptive on community feedback. I think to an extent they have been listening far more. I feel like patch notes have been far more influenced by the community. I know Super TF jokes about this all the time, that his requests as like the biggest Overwatch streamer gets through to the devs. And unironically, to an extent, I'm sure it does actually hear. They do hear some of the requests from larger streamers. Of course, they shouldn't take that into the largest, biggest consideration, as it's the loudest minority, as it were. So at least they are listening, and I can't always say that when it comes to either old Overwatch or other games. Sometimes issues with Marvel Rivals can go on deaf ears for a while. I know Minecraft, geez Louise, we've been asking for an end update for about a decade now, and then said they're making baby animals look cuter. I love baby animals. I just want the end dimension to actually be cool for once. Okay, that's too positive so far. Man, look at, speaking of positive, look at that Winston's butt. Whoa, actually, never mind. Yeah, we're getting rid of him. That's actually a third positive, Winston's butt. We'll put that on the spreadsheet for positives. You know what? I'm gonna say it right now. The figures for Overwatch, and I do plan on making an entire video about merch for Overwatch. That will be mixed reviews between negative and positive, but I will say figures for Overwatch, geez Louise, out of any company, Overwatch has some of the best figures. The reason why I'm bringing this up is that recently Pop Mart, yes, the Labubu crazed company, recently had a collaboration with Overwatch, and if you want to look that up, look up. I was gonna say Labubu Overwatch. Don't look that up. I'm begging you not to look that up. Look up Pop Mart Overwatch, and you'll see some of the figures. And the figure line's actually pretty good. The mystery is the Diva cat skin, and if you don't know like what Pop Mart is, it's basically like a mystery box company that gives you random figures or whatever for way too much money. But between Pop Mart, I know the forbidden words Pop Funko that everybody seems to hate. Those are actually pretty decent. I have a good amount of Pop Funkos. I have my Brig Pop Funko. Low-key, one of these days, I want to get it signed by the Brig VA. I think that'd be kind of cool. Their figures with a Good Smile as well. They did Nindroids. Their Nindroids are freaking adorable, man. They have like Diva, Kiriko. I think Soja's in there too. Mercy's, a bunch of other characters. I wish they did Brig, man. I would buy hundreds of them if they were Brigs. But yeah, I think their figures are pretty darn good. And of course, these are some like dream figures. But back in the day, they did, I think, Mercy, Widowmaker, and Diva as like premium, like $400 or $500 figures that were like amazing. They're not even figures, or statues practically. And I want, like, when I got some extra money in the bank from this whole YouTube thing, trust me, there will be signs, and the sign will be in the background. It'll be a Diva mecha statue. There will be signs, trust me, if I'm making money off of YouTube. But yeah, I think their figures overall, comparison, I'm not even say comparison, I think just in general, the figures are great, and there's some really good quality control. I don't think they ever did any, like, cube sockets. If you know what those are, if you know, you know. But there's some ugly figure brands. I don't think they've ever really paired up with them. I'm low-key kind of surprised they never did like a YouTube collaboration. I think everybody and their mama has done a YouTube collaboration between Chainsaw Man to Ruby to J-Schlatt. Everybody's done a collaboration with YouTube, so I'm kind of surprised Overwatch hasn't. But I'm not going to delve too much more into merch because then I'll start ranting about bad stuff, and that is every other piece of Overwatch merch they've ever released, so we won't talk about that right now. Okay, what else? You know what? I'm going to say polish. When I was going over and reviewing some of the data and getting some opinions about the whole Marvel Rivals stuff, which also thank you so much for the huge support on the Marvel Rivals videos. Yeah, I think it's nearing 1,000 views. My Overwatch vs. Marvel Rivals video. I've been loving the comments. Leave some comments down below if you want to talk more about this positivity in Overwatch. But thank you so much for the support on that. But it did come up as a portion of what I was going to mention in the video was polish between Marvel Rivals and Overwatch, but it's more of an opinionated thing. Obviously, Marvel Rivals is not going to have as much polish as a nearly 10-year-old game coming up 10 years this year compared to a literal 1-year-old game. It's Coughing Baby versus Hydrogen Bomb in terms of polish. But at least we can say it has a great polish. The game overall has improved so much from the very beginning. You can even feel it in the controls when they bring back the Overwatch Classic modes, where it's like, man, Brig was pretty clunky when she released. Of course, she was the most overpowered mess in the world, but she felt very clunky to use compared to Overwatch Brig now, which, I mean, flows like the water of Wu-Yang. I don't know. It feels amazing to play. The game feels so tightly optimized. Don't blame my computer for how bad it runs. It truly, actually, do blame my computer for how bad it runs. It's not the game. I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, it's greatly optimized. The game looks great at pretty much all settings. And I think that's something to not necessarily just scoff at. To be like, just take it for granted and be like, yeah, it's fine. Oh my gosh, my game's lagging so bad in the footage right now. Yeah, it's fine. Don't give them the praise for just doing their job. I mean, give them some of the praise for doing their job. I feel like the game has been far more polished looking, polished sounding. The game improvements, the map improvements, the visual improvements that they've made to the game have been great. So yeah, I think there needs to be more Overwatch positivity. I want to hear some comments down below about positive things you think about Overwatch, and I will definitely see you guys in the next video, hopefully soon, back on my actual PC. I'll see you guys next time.